p.m. I'd like to start the next session, track B-5. So for this session called Wearable Future, we have founder of Misfit Wearables, Sunny Vu, here, and he's going to talk about wearables here and now, product design and engineering challenges for wearables, and moving beyond sensing to more compelling use cases. So please welcome Sunny.
Hi, great to be here. Thank you for having me. It's an honor to come. Um, I forgot when I came up with the title "A Wearable Future" because it really should have a question mark after it, because it's as I'll talk about here. Oops. You'll see that maybe it's unclear what some of the future possibilities may be. Anyways, just to start though, I'd like to see how many people here are wearing a wearable device, aside from a traditional watch, say. Okay, about 10, 15%. That's a little bit more than a typical average room. Usually it'd be like 1 or 2%. And so despite all of the hype, despite all of the buzz this space is getting, it's still very new. Or maybe it's just not that compelling yet, or one of the two. And so very quickly, a little bit about myself. I'm a serial entrepreneur. This is my third company. My last company was a medical device business. And this one, we started really with one desire. That was to make technology invisible, to make technology serve us. It started partially because for years I couldn't get my mom to even use Windows to send me email. She couldn't use Windows. I mean, you can't blame her. I got her an iPad, and now she emails me. It's amazing, and she loves it. Facebook's, which is even more scary. And I thought, okay, this is kind of ridiculous. It's 2011, and my mom just is starting to use email. Because she just couldn't use technology. We've been trying to, the number of hours spent setting up her email and the Wi-Fi, and just was terrible. So we said, all right, let's do something that would really make technology delightful. And so my buddy Sridhar, we've done 3 companies. This is our third company together. We were friends since the end of high school. And John Scully, the former CEO of Apple, we're based in San Francisco, 35 of us there doing hardware. And I'm from Vietnam, and we have a large R&D team there. Just opened a Chinese office, and we manufacture everything in Korea currently. And what we're doing is in the space of connected devices. So if you look back in the last 20, 30 years, we've gone through several generations of technology. The PC revolution of the 80s, the internet in the 90s, mobile and social in the 2000s, and now I think we're in the thick of the Internet of Things, as people call it. And I would say if I had to categorize it, it would be things in your home, in your car, and on your body being wearables. And so the question has been, is wearables the next big thing? Is it really going to turn the evolutionary curve of technology, which has gone dreadfully wrong? Is it really going to be the next stage in evolution? And is it only going to be the next stage in evolution? Because evolution isn't all that exciting, really. Because what we're excited about is revolutions, jumps, or as Peter Thiel calls it, going from 0 to 1. I don't know if you've heard of his new book. It's really, really good. I was listening to it recently. So what I'd like to just make sure that everyone is familiar with this space, because I know, like I said, it's still a relatively new space, this area of wearable devices. And up till now, this is what a lot of the devices look like. You've got clips of various sorts, things that you just clip on your body, like this clip I've got here on. You have straps on your chest, straps on your arm. for heart rate monitoring, sleep monitoring, all sorts of stuff, right? Wrist-worn devices. I see a number of people with wrist-worn devices here. I've got the product that we make here on my arm. A bunch of sleep-related products as well. Some of them have come and gone. Patches. These are devices you would stick on your body and would send a signal out to your phone or a device to kind of tell you what it's measuring. You have foot-worn devices. You insert these in shoes. You even have shirts with technology in them, sensors built into shirts that will measure all sorts of things: motion, heart rate, temperature, that kind of thing. And so, such is the space of connected fitness, wearable tech, right? All over your body. Yeah. The head-worn devices. So you've got hearables, which is kind of a new term that I've been hearing lately. Smart headphones of various sorts, as well as eye-worn devices like Google Glass. You also have apps of various sorts that can track your activity. And in fact, so much of this stuff has come out that when people talk about wearables, they often equate it to sensing. And so often, when people hear that I'm working on a wearable device, they say, well, what are you sensing? It's like, well, that's a presupposition that sensing is the only thing that one could do with wearables. And it's starting to get mainstream in the sense that now you even have Apple ads. Oops. Oops, sorry. This was the recent iPhone commercial. So it's all sorts of different wearables.
Touchdown every morning, 10 times, not just now and then. Once more on the rise, nuts to the flabby guys. Go, you chicken fat, go away. Go, you chicken fat, go. Running to run like a tortoise. Okay. Not too far and too strong. Now double up, ready. Run to people like a hare. Run to people, run to people. Run to people, run to people. Everybody sing. Go, you chicken fat, go. Dismissed.
All right, so if Apple is putting out primetime commercials, this was played during the World Cup, so surely it's a mainstream product category now, right? Well, I don't know. I tweeted about this recently, and I actually got an answer back from the audience, so I thought I'd just show that. And the tweet I sent out was, when are people going to actually wear these products? When is it going to be mainstream? And Susie actually is a friend, wrote back and said, when it stops making me look like Tron. And I don't know, maybe some people think that's kind of cool. We are in Japan after all. But I don't think the mainstream is interested in that. I actually think one of the trends that we are seeing happening now is a migration from a very, we're still from a 1.0 world, plastic, bulky, things that you would wear only when you're exercising, single-purpose products, to I don't know if I would call it 2.0 just yet, maybe it's 1.1, but products that are a bit more lifestyle-oriented, products that don't necessarily require a lot of charging, made of different kinds of materials, moving beyond just plastics, moving into the realm of other types of things that you would normally wear. You probably don't normally wear plastic. Maybe the Livestrong armband, well, probably not even that these days because, of these migrations happening. Okay, that looks. Thank you. And probably one of the most important things that we're probably going to see happen is the migration to other use cases, beyond just activity tracking. Just a very quick use case study. This is something that we did. This was the Shine product. So this is the product that we're most known for. Just a tiny little activity tracker, activity and sleep monitoring product. And we really designed it to be beautiful first. It's based on a goals oriented approach. So instead of having a screen that shows how many steps you did, it shows you through a number of lights how close you are to hitting your goals. Because it turns out that when you watch users use these products, it turns out that people really are just looking at how well they're doing. And so that's what we did. We made it so that you could track other activities as well, not just walking. And made it connected to an app so that it can do a number of different things. Sleep turns out to be probably one of the most engaged features on our product because it's automatic. Knowing whether you're moving enough, I think, is interesting for a number of people, but for a lot of people, they either don't care or it's not new information for them. However, sleep is interesting because sleep is not something that you can easily measure normally right now. Maybe you know that you haven't been sleeping well, but just knowing how much and how well you've slept seems to have been interesting to people. We also made it so that it's highly customizable, so lots of colors, lots of accessories. So it's this little metal disc that you can literally wear in a bunch of different places. Making it appealing so that not just guys would be wearing this, but women as well. One of the things I've been saying is that many of the products that we're seeing in the wearable space looks like they were made by Silicon Valley guys, or just guys in general, for guys. In fact, they're probably made by engineers for engineers. And so that's just not, and that's why I think a lot of the products out there look the way they do and and the user experience is the way they are. So nothing against engineers. I'm one myself. That's why we hire great designers. We recently released a product like Shine called the Flash, which is like Shine but half the price, and people seem to love it. I'll just skip this. And so the dream that we're all really after is making a great wearable product, right? I'm going to challenge that in just a bit as well. But while we're on the topic of wearables, my point here is going to be that, what makes a great wearable product? It's something that's worn all of the time for a long time by a lot of people. Okay, so that'd be a pretty cool wearable product. And I think we don't really have too many examples of that right now, except for things like the blue jeans or underwear or the white T-shirt. Very universal, very broadly worn by a lot of people for a long time, all the time. Talking about technology, there really aren't too many examples of that. I think it's because what these products lack and what us makers need to do is really two things. One is develop an enduring wearable wearing experience. The other is an engaging user experience. So the first is a product that you would want to wear, okay, and the other is a product that you'd want to wear all the time. So something you'd want to wear to begin with, and then another thing that you'd want to wear all the time. And there's a reason to wear in it. And so in terms of data, which is a lot of the discussion around wearables, it's really the benefit of wearable technology is that it can collect lots of data, and if it's a great one, worn all the time for a long time by a lot of people, then it would be a product that could gather amazing data, diverse, continuous, etc. Now, diving a little deeper, how to make a great, an enduring wearing experience. Well, I'm not really sure any of us really know yet, but we have some theories, some approaches. So 3 things. One is wearability design, and That's something that we've thought about for a long time, because the idea is if you have the most accurate sensor in the world, it senses all sorts of stuff, does all sorts of cool things for you, but it isn't worn. If people don't wear it, then the accuracy on that is zero, right? So not that interesting. So wearability design, so people often ask function or form first. And I say absolutely form first. And the reason is it's because it's wearable. Like if you don't wear it, there's no function, right? And so wearability design, for us, we thought about materials, thinking outside the box a little bit, not just plastic injection molded designs and hardware, but things made of other materials. We thought about leather. We even thought about making a fur product, and we said, okay, maybe not, probably not a good idea. But we really, so that there's a lot of things that you can make things out of. How thin something is. So thinness is huge in terms of wearability. We found that anything pretty much over 6 millimeters is pretty much too thick. 6, 7 millimeters or so. Shine is about 8.8 millimeters, so it is. We're trying to make it thinner. We try to make it minimize its thinness by the finishing, by the curvature, that kind of thing. So it actually looks thinner than it actually is. The other thing I would say is flexibility. So there are a lot of curved products out there, but being curved is not the same thing as being flexible. So making the band really flexible so that it fits any, not any, but a lot of different wrist shapes, it was important. Charging. We actually, before we did Shine, we actually read around 5,000 reviews on Amazon. So if any of you are doing startups, and especially if it's a hardware one of the best ways, I think, one of the cheapest, easiest ways to do market research is just to read the reviews of your competitors. And we read through that, and we basically found that there's like 4 or 5 issues that come up again and again, and charging was one of them. There are studies out there that show that after about 30 to 60 days, something like 60% of people stop wearing their wearable device. And I think that's actually quite generous. I think after about 60 days, around 80% stop wearing their wearable device for a number of reasons, which I'll talk about in just a second. But I think one of those reasons is that almost all of these devices have to be taken off. You actually have to take these products off so that you can charge them. And if you think about it, even if only 1% of the time even if there's only a 1% chance that you don't put something back on after you take it off to charge it, if you do the probability math, imagine it was multiplied by 20 or 30 times. Pretty much by the end of that, you're very, very likely not to be wearing the product just for that reason. So charging is tough, and it's hard because there's only a few ways to deal with this issue. You don't really have a lot of space to put a battery, and battery technology has not really improved in the last 30 to 40 years. It's very non-Moore's law-like. The specific energy of batteries has basically remained unchanged in the last 30 to 40 years. Batteries have gotten thin, flexible, and all that. Well, that doesn't really help us all that much here because you just need a lot of energy. Power. So density is not really improved. Second is lower power circuits. Those have improved. Microprocessors, microcontrollers, and sensors have gotten to be lower power, but there's still lots of things that we can't do at a low power. Power generation is something that people talk about a lot, and effectively, almost all of the modalities that I've thought about, that I've seen, biothermal, kinetic, ultrasonic, electromagnetic harvesting, you name it, are basically all science projects. They're just not dense enough in terms of their footprint. And finally, power management, and that's kind of what we had to do. We took a very full stack approach to power management, from firmware, from hardware, design to chip selection to firmware and the algorithm design, everything was very much oriented towards no charging. And finally, I would say making sure people wear it, making sure people are comfortable wearing it, making sure that they don't because of charging, and finally, and probably the most important thing is having a compelling use case. You know, if oops, the in terms of use case, one of the things that I think you may notice is that activity tracking, if you think about it, is not that compelling. You know, it's useful, and I think it's a great starter, and it helps a lot of people. That's why we're doing it. But if you compare it to other use cases, like let's say making a phone call, or unlocking your car, or paying for your meal, those are much more compelling. So at Misfit, we have this product design. I wouldn't call it a benchmark, but our dream, and that is to pass the turnaround test. If you were halfway to work and you forgot something, what is it that you would turn around for if you forgot it at home? Okay, right? So if you're halfway to work and you forgot something, what will you turn around for? Your iPhone, your keys, your wallet, okay, and pretty much probably not much else, okay? Especially in today's cloud-connected world where even computers you could just, use, you could have one at work and one at home. And so, and if you put put activity trackers to test on this, it's not really, it wouldn't pass. You wouldn't turn around for your activity tracker. And what if it had heart rate monitoring as well? Probably not, right? And now, what if it had heart rate monitoring, GPS, and alerts and notifications? Probably not, right? You'd only, because your phone can do a lot of that stuff, and quite frankly, I think a lot of people don't find that information critical to their lives. Taking a quick step back in terms of wearability design, as we thought about why people wear things, we reflected on a few points. Aesthetics and fashion, because it makes people feel, look good. Protection, we've worn clothing and things for millennia because it protects us from the elements. Brand association, I wear this because I can afford it, or I wear this because my friends wear it. Having a secondary function is, have like a pocket is something that, that is out there, but that's not why people wear things necessarily. And collecting data is a very recent phenomenon. That's like a very 2005 type of thing. And so we think about the future of wearables. I think these are very important considerations. Because unlike the other eras of computing, many of these factors have just never really come into play. I mean, yes, I guess the fact that I have an iPhone versus an Android device says something about me, but I think it's not as emotionally connected as, say, something I'm wearing on my body. And in terms of products, I think part of where we're migrating to is how we're even conceiving of and making these products. Up till now, these products have been made largely in the same way that many of the other computer and IT-related products are made. And that is, we think about what technology can do, we encase it in plastic of some sort, we get some design firm to make it pretty, and then we get the marketing people to convince you to please wear it. If you wear this, you will get this. Data, charts and graphs, social functions, games, whatever it is. But there's got to be a better way to do this than shoving products down people's throats. And so the approach that we've suggested has been to think about what people would wear first. Let's make something that you'd actually just put on your body, and then let's invent the technology that will fit in it. And so this sound a little weird, but we actually originally didn't think we could fit a sensor in the Shine, and we were just going to make a non-functional product, just as a something that would be more of a reminder and a motivator. Fortunately, we were able to put a sensor in it, so that was important. Designing for manufacturing from the beginning, very important. I think a lot of folks are, used to making things from the maker movement, 3D printing stuff, and said, okay, I can make one. See, it's pretty cool. Well, making one of something is a lot different from making 100 of something, and even that is much different from making 10,000 of something all the time. Every hour, right? And so that's something that we. So this is just another approach to making something to making wearables. Here we go. This is the turnaround test I was telling you about. Things that you would turn around for if you forgot at home. And so with Shine, honestly, I don't think I'd turn around for a Shine. This is our product. So what we try to do is just pretty much hack this test and not by not having to take it, and that was to not make it require charging. So before I move on, any questions or any comments, anything that you guys want to so far? Are are there other things that you can think of that you turn around for right now that are important to you? Anything else other than, Apple Watch, they're wanting to replace these two things, right? With something on their wrists. We're in this world of connected locks now and whatnot. So those are I can easily imagine keys slowly being replaced. And so I think herein lies the largest, like the most interesting things to be done in the space of wearables, where a wearable future, it doesn't end with a question mark, but it ends with maybe a period or an exclamation mark. And that is moving on to other use cases that are truly compelling. Activity tracking, interesting, not compelling enough. Heart rate monitoring, probably a little less interesting. If I told my mom what her heart rate was, I don't know if it would do anything other than raise it. And alerts and notifications, which is largely what smartwatches are offering now. Extensions of the smartphone experience. Those are also also not that compelling if you think about it, because your phone can do all of those things. And so I would offer up a few different possibilities for what would really be compelling for the future. I think we're talking about wearable identity and payments. So Apple Pay combined with Apple Watch, pretty interesting. The question is, well, why would I use something like that when I could just pay with my smartphone? So that's a good question. I think what would make wearable identity the most interesting is if it was persistent. So you have companies like Bionym, Bionym, and where you wear the device and it actually has a it creates a unique fingerprint of your heart rate and your heartbeats, and then identifies you as that. So if you took the device off and put on someone else, then it would not work. But unlike fingerprint detection, where you have to put your fingerprint on something, it kind of emanates your identity, which is pretty cool. So persistent identity, I think that would be really cool. There's a cool case study of that with the Magic Band at Disney. People used that at the Magic Kingdom, and it worked really well. The hardest part about wearable identity, I think, is largely around infrastructure. So the infrastructure to accept these devices and this form of communication. So about $2 billion was spent on the Magic Band, and most of that was actually on the kiosks used to identify the Magic Band. Another area probably would be potentially is in the area of controls. So devices that you wear that would actually help you control your environment, control your devices and other technology, either through automation or identity, or actually through gesture recognition. So like the Thalmic Labs Mio band, there's an armband that you can wear that reads your muscle actions and translates them to gestures. Pretty cool. And so you'll have that. And finally, I think medical and health technologies could be interesting use cases that will be really compelling as well. Devices that would largely be used for safety and remote monitoring applications. But then again, maybe I'm completely wrong, because if someone, I have a feeling there are probably possibilities that none of us are imagining right now, and that if we were here in Tokyo in 2024, reflecting on what what we were discussing in 2014, we would just say, "Oh my gosh, that no one would have imagined." If we were talking about messaging in 1950, and someone in the future came back and said, by the 60s and 70s, you're going to be able to send messages for free. Forget telegraphs, okay? Forget telephones. People can just send messages to each other by email. It would just blow our minds. Or if we were in the 60s and someone said that we were going to make phone calls from anywhere to anywhere, again, it would blow our minds. GPS, these are technology revolutions that have changed our world. As Peter Thiel would say, these are revolutions that made us go from 0 to 1, and not just evolutions. And, digital photography, mobile messaging, and social networks. And so, what is X that we would be talking about? And we would say, back in 2014, we just couldn't believe that X was going to happen. I believe there's an X that is waiting to happen in a wearable context. And I believe there are X's waiting, probably one or two things, not a whole lot. And I believe there are future possibilities that hopefully will not require wearables. And I'll just leave you with this thought, and that is, if you actually have to wear something for a function that you desire, then that's kind of a handicap, in fact. And that's why I think wearables really form a subset of this larger space, which is even more exciting, and that is in the area of the smart home and smart car, smart office too, I suppose, where you have devices that will do things for you without you even having to wear it. We released our first product called the Bedit sensor, which is a sensor that you put on your bed, and it measures your heart rate and your breathing and how well you slept without having to wear anything. So we're taking a little baby footstep towards that. I'm going to show you a final video that we haven't shown publicly yet, but I'll and hopefully you'll enjoy it.
We are not born great. We do not have greatness thrust upon us. Our greatness comes from our achievements, our desires to make an imprint and leave a legacy. We accept the challenges that lead us away from a life of mediocrity because we do not play it safe. We do not settle for anything. We are always growing and always changing. We set forth to scale mountains, to dive to the darkest depths of the sea, to love, to dream, so that we may dangerously expand our horizons. Because we understand that the world will not continue turning unless we push. we challenge ourselves to become greater. Do you accept the challenge?
Thank you. And I thought I would end with just one thing, and that is if I can figure out how to play this video, or here we go. No. There we go. I thought, what better than to talk about wearables than to have one? And so I have a puzzle that I thought we'd have some fun with, because I actually brought a couple of shines. You can buy these at the Apple Store, but you don't need to do that here. So who's heard of the 9-dot puzzle, where you have to connect the dots with a straight line without lifting up your pencil? You can actually do it in at least, well, I guess you could do it with five lines, right? But here at Rakuten, we're all about thinking outside the box, right? So who's heard of this puzzle? The question is, you can do it within 4 lines, actually. Have you heard of it before? Okay, those who have heard about it are disqualified from this puzzle. But I have 2 shines to give out, okay? And along with 2, like a really cool band, and this necklace. You saw that necklace earlier. It was like our most successful accessory. So if you can give me, while you're thinking about it, and if you can give me the first guy and the first lady who gives me an answer gets a shine. But in the meantime, questions, thoughts that you have, and anything you disagree with, or what are you excited about in the space of wearables? What do you, why are you here? Any, James?
Well, so what do you think about, instead of wearing one wearables, but multiple ones? Has there been any thoughts about that?
Yeah. So there's 2 thoughts about it. The question is, what about wearing more than one wearable product? And my response is, ultimately, the goal is to wear 0, right? That would be ideal. But there are a number of startups that are actually trying to take advantage of multiple positions in order to get more data to do more things. Companies like Athos or Atlas, I think they have devices that you'd put on various parts of your body to get a bigger picture. I think those are going to be fairly limited, because I think we can barely get people to wear one device versus more than one. And a lot of people have also talked about, well, what about the Apple Watch? Isn't that going to wipe out this wearable space? Isn't the game over? And my answer to that is, it's kind of like saying, hey, it's 1997. There are a lot of websites out there, so the internet is a really crowded space. Okay, I think it's ridiculous. And we're super early. The Apple Watch can barely last more than 1 or 2 days, right? In the history of mankind, we've never had to charge our watch or charge anything that we wear. And so I think we're really, really early there. And I think the space will bifurcate. It will trifurcate. Right, it's currently you've got things that are $250 and above, the Samsung Gear, Apple Watch, and whatnot. You've got $100 to $150, which is like the Pebble or the Asus ZenWatch, the cheaper smartwatches. And then you've got $100 and below, Fitbit, Jawbone, Shine, that kind of thing. And so I think it's still very early. The jury's still out. Other questions? Any answers to the? Yep. So we have implants, we have ingestibles, we have pills that take pictures of your colon that you swallow. There are pills that dissolve sensors into your body and tell you whether tell whether you're taking the pill or not. A company called Proteus Medical is doing something like that. And so we are there. So in terms of what we can do those things. The question is, should we, and do we? And I guess more interestingly is, do we? And the answer is, I don't think we will. And the reason why is, I came from the medical device world. We were doing blood glucose meters and strips for years, like a decade. And I mean, there are life-saving medical devices like the insulin pump. It pumps insulin to your body if you have diabetes. Anyone here know anyone with diabetes? That's yeah, a lot. I'm sure you do. And continuous glucose sensors. The Dexcom device, and despite it being covered by insurance and basically being proven to improve the quality of life and basically helping you to completely manage your diabetes, people still don't wear these things. So even for life-saving applications, some people are still not even wearing these devices. And so you got to wonder, I think there's more than just what you can do, but what people actually do. Any answers so far to our puzzle? Yeah, you got to show me without showing the other people. All right, I think we got a winner here. All right. I've got a Topaz Shine and a Coca-Cola Red Shine. We actually did this partnership with Coca-Cola, and which one would you like? We have a Topaz Shine and a red one. Which one would you like? The blue one. All right. Here you go. Blue one and the red one, they're both unisex, so here you go. Other questions or answers if you have it? Yep. Yep. Right. So I think there's a number of reasons. I'll list them out. I mean, these are theories, and I'm not saying that the majority of people don't wear it for these reasons. But one is, I think, so the question is, what are the reasons why people don't wear life-saving medical devices? Like, it seems ridiculous. It's going to save your life. Freaking wear it. So that it's paid for by insurance. It's going to save your life, right? I think one is exactly what you said. People don't want to be reminded of their condition. There's shame in terms of other people seeing it. Oh my gosh, you're wearing a thing sticking out of your body. What is that? There's definitely that. There's also just the inconvenience. If you've worn a patch sensor, I wore a Dexcom continuous glucose sensor for about 6 months. It is a pain in the butt to wear. Okay, it's cool because I can see my glucose scores continuously without having to prick my finger. Unbelievable, right? But man, it was hard work. I think also just these products have not gotten to a point where you can just forget about it. You can't just wear a pump for 6 months. You actually have to change the infusion set every few days or so, or else you'll get an infection. So, so there's a number of those reasons. Cool. All right, 1 minute left. 1 minute left for an answer, or I guess a guy. I mean, if you're comfortable wearing, well, I guess you could give it to your to your significant other. Oh, guys can wear that too. That's cool. Well, yeah. Yeah, so people are talking about ultraviolet for skin conditions. People are doing more sensor fusion between different types of motion sensors, like using gyros and accelerometers and magnetometers in combination to do more than just steps. Okay, there's also I mean, temperature and the question of whether electrochemical sensing, like blood sensing, will happen in a wearable context, I think that's really hard. There are a lot of physics-related problems, chemistry-related problems there as well. So people are going to sense a bunch of stuff, but hopefully soon people will do a lot more than just sensing, such as identification, maybe using sensing for identification or using sensing for payments, that kind of thing. But just biometrics, charts and graphs, physiological data, I think it's going to be uninteresting to a lot of people. So, all right, you ready for the answer? Anyone? Oh, yep. Do you have an answer? Yeah, absolutely. You have an answer? Yeah, let's see it. All right. I'm so excited. All right. Yeah, you got it. You got it. Yep. All right. So you got it. There you go. What's your name? Great. Here, enjoy. Have fun. Okay, so the answer is you got to go out of the box. You got to draw the line outside the box, down, up, and over. Anyways, like I said, these conferences are usually, this is a great conference, but conferences usually can be slow, especially after lunch, right? So thought we'd have some fun. Would love to engage in more questions. If you have, just drop me a note or something, and we'll be in touch. Thank you. Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So one more reminder, we have a great deal from Misfit team. For a second.